Did you already get fed? Yeah, you did. You're over here trying to get some more. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Welcome back to Whitetail Garage. Now in this episode, we're going to fix the brake lights. To do that, we've got a new plan. So I think I said this in the last episode, maybe I didn't, but the brake lights are staying stuck on. I fought with them for a long time, narrowed it down to where it's getting a signal from the switch, right? The reason it's getting a signal from the switch, I can't figure out. So the push rod is being pushed up against the pedal so hard that it is pushing the pedal up against the stop, the rubber stopper at the top of the pedal, at the top of the travel. It's pushing that so hard that it is also depressing the brake light switch and kicking on the rear lights. Now, everything is stock that I'm aware of. The push rod did not have the ring on the end of it stuck inside the master cylinder. So that would lead me to believe that it's at least been taken apart at one point. But I have verified through, some Google searching, verified that at least it is the right length. They're supposed to be exactly 6 inches from the center of the center of the opening to the end of the pin. And this is exactly 6 inches, so it's the correct length. The master cylinder is I've already taken the stock one out, but the master cylinder is the stock master cylinder for this car, or at least the correct one, the single bowl master cylinder, and it doesn't fit. I pulled the master cylinder off, bench bled it, put it back in the car, bled the brakes, adjusted the brakes, checked again, no dice. I don't understand it. It's like for whatever reason, all of a sudden, it's too long of a push rod. I've got 2 different brake light switches, both of them operational. One is the one that was in the car, so a little bit older. Maybe that spring wasn't strong enough, but I've got a brand new one, and it still pushes it back. From what I'd found online, the pressure pushing up against the push rod into the master cylinder should have like a 1/16 of an inch of play, somewhere in there, a little bit of play to allow that switch to relax. Well, this doesn't have any play. Like I said, it's pushing it all the way back. I even shaved the rubber stopper down a little bit, hoping that just a little bit more travel would give me what I needed. Nope, the light stayed on for that. So then I went ahead and what did I do? I removed this. So the next thing I tried was I just removed the stopper altogether and put it all back together and looked to see how far the push rod had to extend to not turn the headlight switch on, and it almost bottoms out the brake pedal without the push rod on, or without it. I don't know what that was. It almost bottoms out the pedal without the rubber stopper in it at all, and so the pedal's way up higher than the gas pedal. Brake pedal's way up higher than the gas pedal. Obviously, that's not going to work. Anyways, so after doing some research, I ran into a couple of times where the single bowl master cylinder was dubbed in the forums that I was reading, was dubbed the suicide bowl. I hadn't found that up to that point. I knew that, with a single bowl, if you have any leak or any issues with the braking system, you lose the entire braking system. Whereas a dual bowl, you're separating the front system from the back system. And so if you have an issue with any one of those, like just the back system is segregated or just the front system is segregated, you have the opportunity to still have brakes, right? So it's like, I should go ahead and get a new master cylinder. While I'm doing that, go ahead and get an adjustable push rod and just call it done, right? I'll get in the safety of a new master cylinder. I'll know that it's the correct part, And then even if it isn't, I'll have an adjustable push rod so I can validate that that works. And as I was looking, you know, I'm going to invest $100+ on a master cylinder. Maybe I should go ahead and go the extra couple of $100 more to do power brakes. So that's what I ended up doing. So down here is that little white box. So we're going to dive into that. I've got a power brake conversion for this car with a new dual bowl master cylinder. So we'll do a little bit of an unboxing. I mean, it's not much. It's just the one thing in the box, right? So we'll do a little bit of an unboxing, and then we're going to dive in. I already removed the master cylinder, like I showed you. So the only thing left, pull the push rod out, back out, and then start the install. So to do this yourself, you would remove the master cylinder, then remove the push rod, and then pick up where I'm picking up here, right? So, yeah, so let's jump into that. One other thing that I wanted to point out, and I figured this out as I was doing some different research. So the fitting right here, right there, and I'm going to spin the camera around so you guys can see that. You already got fed. Go on now. So this fitting right here is kind of a vacuum tree on the 6-cylinder. And as I was looking, I was trying to find online, so that way without measuring, I was looking online trying to figure out without measuring what this fitting was. And I've already loosened it up so I could take that out. But this is where it would have had a metal tube come out for the vacuum for the brake booster. Now, it is actually, you can see it's an inverted flare inside there. But as I was looking at that, I realized that didn't come on a 66. 66 had a different fitting there, and this was actually in the 70s is when this fitting was readily available. And I found that just searching online a bunch. Well, it turns out this is a 69 and up 250 cylinder head. So this cylinder head is off of a 250 engine that came in a, I guess, late 68, or it was a 68 or 69 Mustang straight 6. It had a 250 instead of a 200. And that 250 went in, I think, Mavericks and then some Broncos, and it went in a few things. I don't remember what all it went into. But guys with these older 200s would just take the cylinder head off of the 250 because it will bolt right up to this. And there's actually a couple of variants, right? There's one where the manifold is not part of the cylinder head, and then this one that is just like the 200 cylinder head where the manifold's part of it. I didn't even realize that was something that was done to this car, so whatever, you know, kind of minor performance gain that does get, that was a thing that people used to do in the past. So I guess I at least have that. My assumption is this might be why the exhaust sounds a little different, is a little bit louder, a little bit more raspy than I'd like it to be. Maybe. I don't know. You guys drop it in the comments if you think that's what's causing the noise, but that's kind of what I'm thinking it is, because otherwise the exhaust is completely stock, and I'm kind of getting mixed when I look at other people's, when I look at other YouTube videos of just the exhaust on a 6-cylinder. Mine seems to be a little raspy or a little louder, so I'm not sure. If you got any ideas, drop them in the comments of what might be causing that. But let's jump into the brakes. All right, so up under the steering column, there is the, let me see if I can get in the right spot. There we go. There is the push rod right there. Here is the cotter pin. Okay, so cotter pin removed. And again, I've already taken the master cylinder out. That's why this is all moving around. But then this is the brake light signal wires. This is the brake light switch. There we go. So yeah, like I said, I mean, that's the factory push rod. You can tell they, you know, these have those weird grooves down on that shoulder of it. Not sure even what those were originally for, but and like I said, I measured from the center of this circle to the end is 6 inches on a factory push rod, and that's what this one measures out at. Again, here's the brand new switch. The old one was, you know, didn't look in much worse for wear, was just discolored, and the spring was rusty. But otherwise, yeah, not sure what the issue was, but doesn't matter. We're moving on to better brakes. So here's what I ordered. Lead brakes. That's the part number. Got it from MPD. They were able to get it to me very quickly, which was nice. Just worked out in my favor. So, nice sticker. And then there she is. So, dual bowl, power brakes, little bitty guy. But it's a kit with vacuum line. I don't think this vacuum line is long enough for my setup, so I got some more vacuum line. But there's the adjustable push rod, and then it comes with new brake lines that you're gonna swap out. So it's pretty simple install, but follow along with me. All right, so the way they ask you to do this in the instructions is install the whole unit and then get the brake lines where you need them, because there is going to be some bending required. Then remove the master cylinder, bench bleed it in a vise, which they give you all the stuff to do bench bleeding with, which is kind of cool. And then reinstall the master cylinder, and then do the push rod, and you're on down the road. One of the things I was just noticing is, so this is the stock bottom bolt, right? And they speak to this as well. The stock bolt on the bottom fits without issue, but the top bolt has a big shoulder on it, so you can't use that. And I meant to order, they suggest that you order another pair of these or a brand new set of these, so that way you have all new. And they're nice because they kind of have that little alignment dowel on the end of that, you know, whatever you want to call that. I didn't get that in time, so I ended up just getting some grade 8 bolts that are the same length, at least to the threads, and I'm going to go forth with those and some grade 8 lock washers. So that should get me through for both of these bolts. They're zinc coated, so hopefully, you know, brake fluid or anything doesn't cause them to rust out back here. So that's what I'm going to move forward with. I think I might go ahead and just remove this guy and install it twice, basically. That way I'm only installing this guy by itself, just because those are going to be a pain. So the less weight on the end of this thing, you know, the better. So I might go ahead and just break these loose and just install this guy first, then install this, bend the lines, take it back off, bench bleed it, put it back on. That's my plan, I think, and I execute with that. All right, there's the master cylinder separated from the brake booster. Let's go install this guy because it'll live there permanently. I already got my lock washers on my 4 bolts. Let's go get it done. This here's the line coming directly from the master cylinder, or at least the original one. This is right front brake, down here is left front brake, and here's rear brake. So I need to disconnect the rear brake, and I need to disconnect this line. Sorry, bear with me.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Where did that go?
So right down here is a plug. You have to plug the bottom where the rear line went into this valve. This line came out, goes to the rear brakes. You have to plug that down. This is going to go into the master cylinder with an extension that they provide. And then the other side will run the front brakes off of this port. Let me see you get it. Come on. Come on, smarty pants.
What do you, I thought
You couldn't even get it from that angle.
Can
if
you stop filming me?
You
The
got
tendons
this.
and muscles in my
hand.
hand.
Let me see
You're
your
so
muscles.
rude when I'm trying to help you.
In your strong hand. Get your strong hand in there.
It's like seized into place. That's as much as I can.
But no, use your muscles.
Why are you so mean? Look at my hand. Look at my hand.
Is that your strong hand? You're so lucky the battery's not connected because I'd honk the horn on you.
Don't even make me hurt myself.
Okay, do you have my bolt in or not?
It's in.
Like threaded in?
I don't know. Can I have a socket or something? Or a wrench?
Sure. Here you go.
Mm.
Is that going to give you the muscle you need?
I can't see what I'm doing.
I can see.
Okay, well tell me where I'm at.
Right there.
Why are you mean? Why are you so mean? I'm trying to help you. Is anything turning? Or I'm just turning the lock washer?
Oh, you're turning the hell out of the lock washer. Good job on that, by the way.
I can't. This is the wrong size.
No, it's not.
Are you sure?
Positive.
It won't. It doesn't fit. It seems like it's the wrong size.
You need to get the thread started anyway.
Well, then I didn't do it right because I can turn it. I can turn it. It's just that's it.
Okay, so that bottom right bolt is nearly impossible. We've been throwing everything we can at it. So now I have removed the booster from the brackets and I'm going to try and put it in now. That was the hardest thing I've had to do so far on this car. That is unbelievable. That bottom bolt, I mean, it's just my luck, right? That bottom bolt just would not, why won't you focus? Would not, you know, this guy way down here, I had to walk it the whole way in just because that has to be the one hole that is just not happy. All the rest of these I could hand thread in super easy. The one that's the hardest to get to is, of course, the one that gives me the most grief. Okay, I've got them all the way where they're just snug so I can still get some flex in the bracket as I put the booster back in. So that's what I'm doing next. So what I ended up having to do was take the bracket off of the booster, both brackets, and then get those bolted to the firewall on either side and close to tightened up, and put the booster back on there, put all the nuts on it, and then tightened everything down. That was the only way I was able to do it. And even still, the driver's side top and bottom bolts that go to the firewall, those were tough to even get anywhere near kind of tight or snug. So it's in there, it's good. Next is bench bleed the master cylinder. Here's what they give you for a bleeder. Well, it is a decent little kit. I don't like these that you have to press in and just kind of hope you press and twist and hope they stay in. I have a set of these with a bunch of different sizes, so I'll find the right one that fits using that. They just want you to press these into the fittings there on the side. That's never going to seal well. These are solid as a rock, so they'll work.
So this is super frustrating. This is the line they give you. Golly, focus. This is the line they give you. And you have to bend it, not a big deal. And it goes to the front of that splitter and to the back of the master cylinder, right? You go there and you go there, right? You got to bend it into the space. The problem is this guy is too small for the front of that splitter, because here's what came out of that splitter. Completely different thickness line and completely different thickness, or completely different size fitting.
All of the, ones that tee out of it are that size. So you think, well, maybe I'm supposed to go to underneath there, but no, this line obviously wouldn't reach that. And then this line, you can see it bends down, because when you get this guy in, it goes to the front, port, and then faces down back there in the back for you to bend that right where the rear brakes came out of that guy. You put them back and you use this union, which is, I'm never excited about unions, but use that union to connect that.
Two ways I can fix this. So that is like a mess up, because it's not supposed to be that way. It's not that's the incorrect size. So two ways I can fix it. I could reduce a point of failure by putting this T in, because I only need one in and two out. Again,
this guy had one in and three out, and one of them is plugged down there. You can barely see it.
So I could remove that, but I run the risk of rounding off these front brakes. So you can see I already have a wrench back there because I was trying to loosen them and they were being a pain. So I can vice grip it and try and get those out. Use a T and eliminate at least the extra plug that's on the bottom over on the other one, because that could be a potential leak point. Or just so happens I had this old guy sitting in the toolbox and the scraps that's the right size, not only ID, but is the right thread size for that splitter. So I think I'm going with this one because it seems like the easier way. And then I guess worst case scenario, if I eventually have to go to this, I could hang on to this fitting, and I could, once I go to this, I can kind of adjust the way all of that looks down there, because it won't bolt to the firewall anyway, so I can put this wherever I need to. So if I have to take a little bit more off of this to put a different fitting back on, I can. So that's the route I'm going to go. So now I've got to take the end of this guy off and put that guy on. Alright, that's done. Nice, clean, new flare. I cannot recommend this tool enough. This Titan. Again, you have to get these per size, right? And they're not, they're not expensive, but since you have to get for each line, for each size, it can rack up if you want a whole set. But the cheesy sets for brakes. Here's that package that came in, double flaring tool. These cheesy sets, I've never had issues other than this cheap one. This crimps down too much, in my opinion. Like even on the 3/8 line, it crimps down on a line. As you tighten it down, it like squishes the line too much in order to grip it. But for the bigger lines, I've never had a problem with these cheap kits. But for the 3/16, that one there has always given me fits. This, every single time, it works perfectly. Every single time. And I think I've showed it before, but you take this guy. This is just the dye lubricant. But you take this guy and you first put your line in this direction, coming out, and you get it nice and flat to the end there. And then you want to file it down, right? That's a process you do on all of them. You file the outside,
You file the inside, and then make sure you blow it out, get it all clean. And then after you get that spun around, you use this piece to set your depth. So that guy threads in, you get it snug, and then your brake line comes in, your nice fresh cut brake line comes in. Of course, you've already got your fitting on the end of it. You tighten these guys down nice and tight, and then that positions it perfectly in that window. If you were to lose this guy, you could use that line to line it up. You see how that stopper kind of lines it up, but that just makes it nice and fast, and you know, guaranteed that you've got it right. And then this guy, you take the end of it, and each end has one step of the flare. And see, OP1 is operation 1. So you get yourself a little bit of lubricant. You drive that guy all the way down till it bottoms out. You take it out. You lube the other side. You drive that guy down till it bottoms out. And you get a nice, clean flare every time. So that guy's ready to go in. And it's going to do just fine with this new fitting. So, like I said, can't recommend this enough. It makes it super easy. You're not constantly like trying to make sure it's aligned perfectly or any of that. You just, with a wrench and this guy in your hand, you can sit there and cram through it. And also, it's designed to do in a vehicle. That's why it has this handle on it. I believe the handle unscrews so you can do it in a vise, but you don't have to do it in a vise. That's what I love about it. That other one, it's supposed to be done in a vise. So this one is meant for in the car, so I love it. Anyways, got that fitting on, so I'm going to go ahead and get these lines in, and then we'll start bleeding. All right. That guy is completely in. So all those lines are tight. You see the union back there. This line comes through and hits that, and then the fitting way down underneath there, if I can get my fingers on it. Right there. That guy is a plug for that brake line. So next, I've got to bleed the brakes. So I've bench bled it, but there's still a bunch of air in the system, right? So I got to bleed the brake. So here's one thing that y'all all might balk at, but it is what it is. So I'm sure you've seen these vacuum systems on the interwebs, and they they're around $100 or so. But as often as I bleed brakes, I don't want to spend $100 to make it easier than, say, a regular vacuum pump. But the regular vacuum pump I have is a pain. So get ready. So I found all the ones that were $100 were the exact same thing. Like, you could tell it was identical. This guy I found on Amazon for $27. And for $27, I'll give that a shot and see if that helps me out. So, again, this guy, you hook up shop air to it, and then you hook that guy up. This is sealed. This is how you drain it. So it's just got, and that's like an anodized, $27. This is exactly the same thing. This thing is a quick disconnect, believe it or not. It's the exact same thing as those $100 kits, and in fact, I'd be willing to bet the $100 kits they're taking this stuff off, and putting their own label and selling it for $100 because this looks exactly like the $100 kits. Anyhow, oh, and it came with a bottle that you put down in the master cylinder full of brake fluid, so it can sit there and continue to feed the master cylinder while you're pulling out brake fluid. So gonna get all this set up and see how it goes. I'll let you guys know. See, it also has this other line, I guess, for quick disconnect, and then this line for, I assume, for sucking out of the master cylinder or something, if you maybe got too much fluid in the master cylinder and you don't want to just use a rag or something. So anyhow, see if it works. All right, so here's that other jug I was talking about. This guy goes on there. You got a clamp that holds it to the side of the master cylinder. You got a valve to turn it off so you can turn it upside down, and like a hamster bottle, you feed your master cylinder. All right, here it is installed. So, you know, fresh fluid, no air. Gonna make sure the front bowl, which is the rear brakes, stays full, and we'll move to the rear brakes. All right, so I think I got the brakes bled, no thanks to that thing. And it's not necessarily that thing's fault. First of all, this valve, you can't really tell. There you go, now you can tell. It's all loose. You can't close it completely off, and you can't use it to regulate air. So that is frustrating because it's just blowing out the compressor and immediately kicks on even that giant compressor over in the corner. So that's frustrating. That's broken. I may send it back just because of that. But the issue with this car is it's just sitting there like sputtering, pop, 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 sucking in brake fluid and air. And I believe it's sucking it from around the fitting, because if I do it like the traditional way, someone pumps up the brakes and then I break the fitting loose, get straight brake fluid. But with this guy, I don't. So I think it's sucking around that. I tried doing the Teflon tape trick. You can kind of see it's still sitting back there. I tried the Teflon tape trick. That didn't work. I still got the same thing. So I did kind of a bleed traditional, and we'll see how it works. Everything's in here. Everything's tight. No leaks. I've got the vacuum line routed down the valve cover and then plugged in right here in front of this fitting, which is a inverted flare fitting, actually, because again, in 68, which this is not a 68, but in 68 there was a metal tube that came out of this and bent to this side of the carburetor that allowed you to put your hose onto. But I'm just gonna do that bend rather than buy that pipe. So that right there, that fitting I used was a 3/8 transmission line fitting that goes from inverted flare to a 3/8 barb. So that's what I use there. So long as we don't have any vacuum leaks, we should have brakes. We're going to test that right now.